Good afternoon and welcome to the Chicago Teachers Union. I would like to also introduce the other officers. Vice President Jesse Sharkey on this end, Recording Secretary Michael Branson, and our Financial Secretary Christine Bailey. As you know, this week a fact finder's report will be issued to CTU and CPS. And this presser is just to have a brief discussion from our point of view. The key is that if one side rejects the report or the other, it will become public at that time. If both sides accept the report, it will become part of the new contract. CTU will not make a decision whether to accept or reject this report until after we've had a discussion about it with our members and, of course, with union leadership. We have a House of Delegates meeting planned on Wednesday at 4:30, and as you know, that is closed to the public. We will have a discussion, a debate amongst our members at that meeting. CTU entered these negotiations in good faith, and we have done everything that was asked of us, including limiting our comments to the press. CPS, on the other hand, has not kept its end of the bargain very well. It continues to leak misleading and sometimes completely inaccurate information to the press in order to color the media conversation and to influence public opinion. We understand that. We commend arbitrator Ben for his careful consideration of the data and for listening to us during this arbitration process. He acted with the utmost integrity, and we fully respect his opinions, though we may eventually not agree with all of his recommendations. And frankly, he had a thankless task. While we will not violate this process, we can say we do agree with his initial recommendation that our members deserve significant pay raises. We did not seek arbitration. His being here is a direct result of SB 7. His ruling is independent. We say, thank you, SB 7. As you know, arbitration is mandated by SB 7, a law championed by this current CPS administration, the mayor, and their out-of-town millionaire reformers, one of whom bragged that SB 7 would basically end collective bargaining rights in Chicago as we know it. Nothing can be further from the truth. And as you know, in June, over 90% of our members voted, 98%, to give a strike authorization. And this was one of the highest turnouts in union history. Thank you, SB 7. We acknowledge that our school district is faced with tough fiscal decisions, that there is a revenue problem within CPS, but there is also a priorities problem within CPS. And we have said over and over again that what we are bargaining for goes well beyond pay raises. Yes, we want pay raises and health benefits and job security for our members, but we are also fighting for resources and social services for our underserved students. We're fighting to strengthen public education. We are fighting to bring dignity back to the profession, and we're fighting to return the joy of teaching and learning to our 25,000 plus educators and our 400,000 plus students. With that said, our members are determined to fight for a contract that reflects those terms. Job security, a recall policy, better school days, social and wraparound services for our students who are facing unprecedented levels of neighborhood violence. CPS wants to relinquish control of our schools, increase charters, and disrupt our public education system while maintaining their status quo practices of experimenting on our students. We thank the arbitrator for his report and for following our discussion of his recommendations with our members. We will issue our formal response, which will indicate if we accept or reject those recommendations. Until then, the negotiations with CPS continue in good faith, at least on our parts. we respectfully ask their communications team and those assigned to the mayor to remember our agreement that this is about our students and doing what's in the best interest of CPS families, employees, and the taxpayers who support them. We are working toward a contract that will lead to schools opening in the fall. Though fact finder Edwin Ben will not be releasing his recommended report until after the parties have determined whether to accept or reject it, CPS regrettably has leaked to the Chicago Tribune information contained in the report, creating confusion in Chicago as to its contents. So due to the crush of media inquiries occasioned by this CPS leak, it is necessary to clarify some of the aspects of the recommended report. The fact finder has determined that CPS's longer day amounts to a 19.4% increase on average that teachers will have to work. And he has determined that CPS cannot expect its employees to work nearly 20% more for free or without fair compensation. Accordingly, the fact finder's report recommends both a general wage increase and an additional increase due to the length of the school day. A general wage increase of 2.25% for the school year 2012, essentially a cost of living raise, without any changes to existing steps and lanes. He also recommends an additional increase of 12.6% to compensate teachers for working a longer school day and year. This represents a combined first-year increase of 14.85% plus existing steps and lane adjustments. CPS has estimated the total first-year increase to be 15 to 20%. We do not disagree with that characterization. The fact finder also recommends cost of living increases in any additional contract years. When the entire report is released and reviewed, it will show that fact finder Ben wholly supports fair pay for a fair day's work. For this reason, we expect that CPS, which for months has publicly stated that the fact finder should decide our raises, will now make an about-face and try to discredit the process it championed, both to legislators in Springfield and to the public here in Chicago. And I have a quote from the CEO to CPS teachers on June 5th. He stated, with a projected $3 billion deficit over the next 3 years, we cannot afford a 30% raise, but teachers deserve a raise and will receive one that is fair. How much that raise should be is in the hands of an independent fact finder. So these are his words, this is their process, and these are their results. So, again, we are working toward a contract that will lead schools to opening in the fall. However, should contract negotiations fail, we will have to make a determination on next steps. Thank you.